There are things you say, innocently, casually, without thinking, that make people lose respect for you. Not dramatically, not loudly, just a quiet downgrade in how they see you, how seriously they take you, how much they trust or value your word. You don't notice it happening. There's no confrontation. No one tells you. They just recalibrate. They stop inviting you to certain conversations. They stop considering you for certain opportunities. They mentally file you under "not quite there yet." And you wonder why doors don't open, why people don't seem to take you seriously, why respect feels elusive. The Stoics understood that your words are your ambassador. They go into the world before you do, shaping how people perceive you, judge you, remember you. Epictetus taught that we should guard our speech as carefully as we guard our actions, because speech is action, and every word either builds your reputation or slowly dismantles it. Today, we're examining statements that make people look down on you, not to shame anyone, but because someone needs to tell you what everyone else is thinking but won't say. Consider this the conversation nobody else will have with you. Let's be clear about what we're talking about. This isn't about being judged for superficial things. It's not about saying the wrong slang or missing a cultural reference. It's not about being perfectly polished in every interaction. This is about patterns of speech that signal deeper issues that affect whether people see you as capable, reliable, worthy of investment, whether they see you as someone who has their life together or someone who's perpetually struggling. And here's the hard truth. People are judging you constantly, not maliciously, just assessing, evaluating, deciding how much energy to invest in you, deciding whether you're someone who adds value or drains it. That assessment happens largely through language, through what you say, how you say it, and how often you say it. When you chronically complain, people see you as negative and exhausting. When you constantly make excuses, people see you as unreliable and unaccountable. When you always need validation, people see you as insecure and draining. When you can't set boundaries, people see you as a pushover they can exploit. These aren't personal attacks. They're natural human responses to patterns. And the patterns are revealed through your statements. Marcus Aurelius, who dealt with senators, generals, and foreign leaders daily, wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. But your words show whether you are one, whether you have substance or just presentation, whether you can be counted on or just counted out." And most people never realize their language is costing them respect. They think they're just being honest or relatable or humble, but what they're actually doing is broadcasting incompetence, weakness, or desperation. Nobody tells them because it's uncomfortable. Nobody wants to be the one to say, "The way you talk about yourself is making people not take you seriously." So the pattern continues. The respect never comes, and they never understand why. This is that conversation, the uncomfortable one, the honest one, because respect isn't given, it's earned. And one of the primary ways you earn it is by demonstrating through your language that you're someone worth respecting. So let's examine the statements that cost you that respect. Not all at once, not catastrophically, just slowly, quietly, over time, until you look around and realize you're not getting the opportunities, the trust, or the consideration you think you deserve. 1. I'm so busy. I'm swamped. Everyone is busy. Announcing it constantly makes you look disorganized, not important. Sorry, I'm just so busy right now. I'm absolutely swamped. I barely have time to breathe. You think you're communicating value, that you're in demand, that you have a lot going on, but what people actually hear is, "I can't manage my time. I can't prioritize. I'm overwhelmed by my own life." Truly busy, competent people don't announce their busyness. They just handle it. They manage their commitments efficiently. They don't need to broadcast that they're stretched thin because they're not. They've learned to say no, to delegate, to create systems. But the person who constantly talks about how busy they are, they're signaling that they're barely keeping their head above water, that adding anything else to their plate would cause a collapse, that they're not in control. Seneca addressed this directly. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. When you constantly complain about being busy, you're revealing that you haven't learned to manage the time you have. You're announcing incompetence disguised as importance. And people notice. They think, this person can't handle what they already have. Why would I give them more responsibility? Why would I invest in someone who's already drowning? The reframe, not I'm so busy, but managing your time well and responding with capability, not complaint. Not using busyness as identity or excuse, but demonstrating that you have capacity because you've learned to create it. Competence is quiet, chaos is loud. 2. That's not my job. Nobody told me to do that. This is bare minimum thinking that announces you're not leadership material. Someone asks for help or points out something that needs doing, and you respond, that's not in my job description, or nobody told me to handle that. You think you're setting boundaries, but what you're actually communicating is, I do the absolute minimum required. I don't see the bigger picture. I'm not someone who takes initiative. People who rise in careers, in social circles, in any hierarchy, don't wait to be told what to do. They see what needs doing and they do it. They understand that value comes from solving problems, not from rigidly adhering to defined roles. Epictetus taught, if you wish to be free, desire nothing and no one that is not within your control. Translation, your freedom comes from competence and capability, not from shrinking your responsibilities to the smallest possible scope. When you say, that's not my job, you're telling everyone, I'm not someone who creates value beyond my explicit assignment. Don't look to me for leadership. Don't expect me to go the extra mile. And they don't. They stop looking to you for anything beyond the minimum. They stop considering you for advancement. They mentally categorize you as, does what they're told, nothing more. The reframe, not, that's not my job, but I'll handle it, or let me figure out how to help. Not hiding behind job descriptions, but demonstrating capability and initiative. People who rise see problems and solve them. People who stagnate argue about whose job it is. 3. I'll try. I'll see what I can do. This is non-commitment disguised as agreement. It makes you seem unreliable. Someone asks if you can do something. Instead of yes or no, you say, I'll try, or I'll see what I can do. You think you're being accommodating, keeping options open, but what you're actually doing is avoiding accountability. You're giving yourself an out so that if you don't deliver, you can say, well, I said I'd try. People hear this and mentally downgrade you. They think, this person won't commit. This person probably won't follow through. I need to have a backup plan. And they're usually right, because I'll try often means I'll do it if it's convenient, and if not, oh well. The strong communicator commits or declines. Yes, I'll have it done by Friday, or no, I don't have capacity for that right now. Both answers are respectable, they're honest, they're accountable. You're either committing or you're setting a boundary, but you're not hedging. Marcus Aurelius believed in decisive action. Do every act of your life as though it were the very last act of your life. When you say, I'll try, you're announcing that you're not fully invested, that this isn't a priority, that you're already creating the excuse for why it won't get done. The reframe, not I'll try, but yes, I will, or no, I can't. Not hedging with non-commitment, but respecting others enough to give them a real answer. Your word either means something or it doesn't. I'll try means it doesn't. 4. I can't afford it, in response to everything. Chronic financial complaint makes people see you as someone stuck, not someone building. Someone suggests a book, a course, an experience, an investment. I can't afford it. Yes, budget constraints are real, But when this becomes your reflexive response to every opportunity, people start to see you as someone who's perpetually broke and not doing anything about it. It signals, I'm not managing my money well, I'm not prioritizing growth, I'm stuck in scarcity, and I've accepted it. And here's the thing, people want to invest in people who are going somewhere, who are building, who are making moves, even with limited resources, not people who use poverty as an identity. Seneca, who was extremely wealthy, still wrote about the difference between actual poverty and poverty mindset. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. When you constantly say, I can't afford it, you're not just stating a fact, you're declaring a permanent condition. You're telling people, I'm not someone who figures things out. I'm stuck and staying stuck. People lose respect not because you're broke, but because you've stopped trying to change it. The reframe, not I can't afford it, but that's not a priority right now, or I'm allocating resources elsewhere currently. Not complaining about finances constantly, but demonstrating. You're managing them strategically. Everyone respects the person who's broke, but building more than the person who's broke and complaining. 5. Sorry, but constant over-apologizing. Apologizing when you've done nothing wrong makes you seem weak and uncertain. Sorry, can I ask a question? Sorry to bother you, but sorry, I just think that you're apologizing for existing, for having needs, for taking up space. And every time you do it, you train people to see you as someone who doesn't believe they deserve consideration. Apologizing is appropriate when you've caused harm or made a mistake, but apologizing as a verbal tick, as a way to soften every request or statement, makes you look insecure. People think, this person doesn't value their own input. Why should I? And they start treating you accordingly. They interrupt you. They dismiss your ideas. They assume they can ignore your boundaries because you've already apologized for having them. The secure person states what they need. Not sorry, but could you help me with this? But could you help me with this? Not sorry to bother you, but do you have a moment? Not sorry, I just think, but I think. Epictetus taught, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. If you would be someone worthy of respect, stop apologizing for your existence. The reframe, not reflexive apologizing, but apologizing only when actually warranted, not softening every statement with sorry, but speaking with appropriate confidence. Save apologies for when they matter, otherwise you're teaching people not to take you seriously. 6. No one ever tells me anything. Why didn't anyone ask me? This is victim language in professional or social settings. It makes you look like someone people deliberately exclude, and maybe for good reason. Something happens, a decision is made, an event is planned, information is shared, and you weren't included. Your response, why didn't anyone tell me, or no one ever keeps me in the loop. You think you're pointing out an injustice, but what you're revealing is that you're not someone people think to include, and you're announcing it publicly. People don't include you in things for several possible reasons. You're not seen as essential to the outcome. You're known for creating drama or complications. You leak information or can't be trusted. You complain more than you contribute. You're not in the inner circle because you haven't earned your way there. Whatever the reason, broadcasting that you're left out doesn't fix it. It just confirms to everyone why you weren't included in the first place. Marcus Aurelius practiced self-examination. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Instead of complaining about being excluded, ask yourself, what would make me someone people want to include? Am I adding value? Am I trustworthy? Am I someone who makes things better or just more complicated? The reframe, not why didn't anyone tell me, but how can I be more plugged into what's happening? not broadcasting your exclusion, but quietly building the relationships and reputation that lead to inclusion. People who matter get included. Make yourself someone who matters. 7. I don't know how to do that without offering to learn. Admitting ignorance without demonstrating willingness to learn signals helplessness. Someone asks if you can do something. I don't know how to do that. Full stop. No follow-up. No, but I can learn, or let me figure it out. Just a statement of inability followed by nothing. This makes you look dependent, like someone who needs hand-holding, like someone who won't take initiative or figure things out independently. In the age of YouTube, Google, and endless educational resources, I don't know how should always be followed by, but I'll learn, or, but I'll figure it out. Otherwise, what you're really saying is, I don't know how, and I'm not willing to put in effort to learn. Someone else needs to either teach me or do it for me. Carl Jung said, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Every time you state inability without attempting capability, you're choosing to remain stuck, and people notice. The reframe, not, I don't know how to do that, but I haven't done that before, but I can learn it. Not stopping at inability, but demonstrating resourcefulness and initiative. People respect those who figure things out. They lose respect for those who just announce limitations. 8. You never, you always. Attacking instead of communicating. This language pattern destroys relationships and makes you look emotionally immature. You never listen to me. You always do this. You never appreciate what I do. You're using absolutes, never, always, to make accusations. This is fighting language, not communication language. And it makes you look like someone who can't have adult conversations about difficult topics. Because here's reality, they don't never listen. They don't always do whatever you're accusing us of. You're exaggerating for emotional impact, and intelligent people recognize manipulation when they see it. This pattern reveals you can't communicate needs without attacking. You store resentment instead of addressing issues in real time. You're more interested in winning arguments than resolving problems. You lack emotional regulation skills. People who speak this way get labeled as high maintenance or dramatic. And they wonder why their relationships struggle and why people walk on eggshells around them. Seneca advised, anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. The reframe, not you, never. But I need specific thing. Can we talk about how to make that happen? Not you always. But I've noticed specific behavior. It affects me because impact. Can we address this? Not accusation, but clear, specific, solution-oriented communication. People respect those who can voice needs without attacking. They avoid those who can't. Share 9. I'm not good at basic life skill, said proudly. Announcing incompetence at basic tasks doesn't make you quirky. It makes you look incapable. I'm terrible with money. I can't cook to save my life. I'm just not organized. I'm always late. That's just how I am. Said with a laugh, like it's charming, like incompetence is a personality trait rather than a choice. But what people hear is, I'm an adult who hasn't bothered to learn basic life skills. I've accepted my limitations instead of addressing them. I'm someone you'll have to carry. Nobody respects the 35-year-old who can't cook a basic meal, manage their finances, or show up on time. These aren't difficult skills. They're fundamental adult competencies. And refusing to learn them signals that you expect others to accommodate your dysfunction. Aristotle taught, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. When you proudly announce incompetence, you're announcing that you've made incompetence a habit, that you've chosen not to grow in basic areas, and people mentally file you under can't be counted on for adult things. The reframe, not I'm terrible at basic skill, but learning the skill, or at minimum, not broadcasting incompetence proudly. Not treating dysfunction as personality, but recognizing that basic competence is a choice. Adults learn basic life skills. People who refuse to are choosing to remain dependent. 10. That's just my opinion. It's just how I feel. As a shield. Using subjectivity as a shield for lazy thinking makes you look intellectually weak. You make a claim. Someone challenges it. Your response, well, that's just my opinion, or it's just how I feel. You think you're ending the conversation. But what you're actually doing is admitting that you haven't thought deeply about your position, that you can't defend it, that your beliefs are based on feeling rather than reasoning. And that makes people stop taking your input seriously. Because yes, you're entitled to your opinion, but not all opinions are equally valuable. An opinion based on research, experience, and careful thought carries weight. An opinion that's just how you feel doesn't. When you retreat to, it's just my opinion, as a defense, you're announcing, I can't actually support this claim, so I'm hiding behind subjectivity. People think, this person doesn't think critically. Their input isn't valuable. I don't need to consider their perspective seriously. Marcus Aurelius practiced rigorous self-examination. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Yes, perspective is subjective, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to articulate why you hold your perspective, why it's informed, considered, worth listening to. The reframe, not that's just my opinion, but either defending your position with reasoning or acknowledging I haven't thought about this deeply enough. Not using subjectivity as a shield, but being willing to examine and defend your thinking. People respect thoughtful disagreement. They dismiss lazy thinking defended by, that's just my opinion. Look at these 10 statements together. I'm so busy. I'm swamped. That's not my job. Nobody told me to do that. I'll try. I'll see what I can do. I can't afford it. In response to everything, sorry, but constant over-apologizing. No one ever tells me anything. Why didn't anyone ask me? I don't know how to do that without offering to learn. You never, you always. Attacking communication. I'm not good at basic life skill. Led proudly. That's just my opinion. It's just how I feel. As a shield. Each one chips away at respect. Not catastrophically, not all at once, but consistently, reliably over time. And the brutal truth is this, people won't tell you. They'll just quietly downgrade their assessment of you. They'll stop considering you for opportunities. They'll stop investing energy in the relationship. They'll stop taking you seriously. You'll be there in the room, but not really there. Present, but not influential. Included, but not valued. And you'll wonder why. The common thread through all these statements is this. They signal that you're not handling your life well, that you're overwhelmed by what others manage, that you won't commit or take initiative, that you're stuck in scarcity thinking, that you lack confidence in your own existence, that you're left out and announcing it, that you're helpless and not planning to change, that you attack instead of communicate, that you're proudly incompetent at basic things, that you can't defend your thinking. None of these things make people want to invest in you, trust you, rely on you, or respect you. And here's the hardest part. You might be more capable than your language suggests. You might be working on these things. You might be trying to improve. But if your language hasn't caught up to your growth, people won't know it. They'll judge you by what you say, not by what you're silently working on. The good news, you can change this immediately. Not your circumstances, those take time. But your language, that's under your control right now. Stop announcing how busy you are. Just manage your time better, quietly. Stop hiding behind job descriptions. Just solve problems when you see them. Stop hedging with, I'll try. Just commit or decline clearly. Stop complaining about what you can't afford. Just make strategic choices with what you have. Stop apologizing for existing. Just take up the space you've earned. Stop broadcasting your exclusion. Just build the relationships that lead to inclusion. Stop announcing inability without demonstrating willingness. Just figure things out. Stop attacking with absolutes. Just communicate needs clearly. Stop proudly announcing incompetence. Just learn basic life skills. Stop hiding behind just my opinion. Just think more carefully and defend better. These aren't massive changes. They're linguistic shifts that signal massive shifts in how you see yourself and handle your life. And when people hear those shifts, when they notice you're speaking like someone who has their life together, respect follows naturally. Here's your assignment. For the next week, listen to yourself speak. Actually pay attention to the phrases you use, especially in moments of stress, conflict, or difficulty. Catch yourself before using these 10 statements. Pause, reframe. Instead of "I'm so busy," just handle it. Instead of "I'll try," commit or decline. Instead of "sorry but," state what you need. Instead of "I can't afford it," acknowledge your priorities. Instead of "you always," communicate a specific need. This isn't about being fake or performing. It's about aligning your language with the person you're trying to become, with someone who handles their life, who takes responsibility, who communicates effectively, who commands respect not by demanding it, but by earning it through how they show up. The Stoics knew your character is revealed in your speech. People are listening, not just to what you say, but to what your words reveal about how you see yourself. Make sure what they hear is worth respecting. Stay focused, stay grounded, and remember, the quiet work you do today is shaping the strength they'll never see coming.